The email arrived at 7:14 a.m. I know the exact time because I was half asleep, scrolling through my phone while the coffee machine hissed and coughed like it was dying, and the notification banner appeared across the top of my screen like a piece of spam I almost swiped away. Important resident safety notice. I yawned. Opened it. Read it standing barefoot on the cold kitchen tile in a t-shirt that had definitely seen better decades. Dear residents. Until further notice, please refrain from using your door viewer/peephole after 9 p.m. If someone knocks after this time, please call the front desk immediately. Do not attempt to visually confirm through the peephole. Thank you. The Marwick Residences Management. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the Marwick was old in that specific way landlords market as vintage charm when they mean we have not updated anything since 1982. The elevator smelled like wet carpet and regret. The laundry room had a light fixture that flickered even when it was off. And the radiator in my bedroom made a sound like something trapped inside metal pipes begging to be let out. So a cryptic email about the peephole felt almost quaint. Like a haunted mansion ride at a county fair that has not been cleaned in 20 years. I screenshot it and sent it to Marcus. He replied, "Girl, what the hell kind of building did you move into? You live in a horror movie trailer." I typed back, "It's fine. Probably some maintenance thing. Maybe they don't want us seeing raccoons in the hallway." "Raccoons that knock," he replied. "Sure. Totally normal." I forgot about it by 7:45 a.m. But the email would not let me forget entirely. It sat in my inbox like a splinter. Every time I opened my phone, I saw the subject line. Important resident safety notice. And I found myself glancing at my front door more than usual that morning. I had never really thought about my peephole before. It was just a small brass circle near eye level. Standard in every apartment I had ever lived in. But that morning, I noticed how dark it looked from inside. How it seemed to stare back at me rather than letting me stare out. I turned the deadbolt before I left for work. A habit I had developed after the third time someone tried my door at 2 a.m. Wrong floor, the front desk said. Drunk resident. Happens all the time. I believed that. Mostly. That evening, I came home at 9:30. Late from work. I grabbed takeout from the Thai place downstairs. The hallway was quiet. The sailboat painting was crooked again. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, locked it behind me, and set the food on the counter. I did not look through the peephole. I did not even think about it until I was sitting on my couch, halfway through my pad thai, when the knock came. 3 taps. Soft. Not a delivery knock. Not a neighbor knock. Not a maintenance knock. It was deliberate, spaced exactly 1 second apart, like someone had practiced. I froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. The clock on my microwave said 9:42 p.m. And I remembered the email. For a full 10 seconds, I did not move. I stared at my front door like it might burst open. The lock was on. The deadbolt was turned. I told myself I was fine. But my heart was hammering against my ribs like it wanted out. "Who is it?" I called. No answer. Another knock. 3 taps. I put the food down. Stood up. Walked toward the door. My footsteps felt too loud. The floorboards creaked under the carpet. I stopped about 3 feet from the door and listened. Silence. And then the worst part came. A voice. Low. Calm. Close enough to the door that I could hear him breathing. Leah. I did not know that voice. I had never heard it before in my life. But he said my name like he had been saving it for this moment. Like he had practiced it. Like my name tasted familiar on his tongue. I stepped backward. "You know what to do," he said. I did not speak. Open the door, he said. Or look. My hand went to my pocket automatically, searching for my phone. I pulled it out, fumbled with the screen, dialed the front desk. Voicemail. You have reached the Marwick Residences Management Office. Our hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. If this is an emergency, please contact Dash. I hung up and called Marcus. He answered on the second ring. Leah? It's almost 10. Someone's at my door. What? Someone's at my door and they know my name. Did you look? No. Good. Don't look. I wasn't going to. Leah, I'm serious. Do not look through that peephole. I wanted to ask him why. I wanted to ask him what he knew. But I did not get the chance, because the man outside my door knocked again. 3 taps. And then he said something that made my blood turn cold. Don't worry, Leah. You haven't looked yet. And that is good. That is very good. Because the warning was meant for people who already looked. What are you talking about? I whispered. Marcus heard me. Leah, what did he say? He said the warning was for people who already looked. Silence on Marcus's end. Then, Leah. Get away from the door. Get in your bathroom. Lock it. Why the bathroom? I do not know. Just do it. I moved. I do not remember crossing my living room. I do not remember opening my bathroom door. But suddenly I was inside, the lock clicked shut, my back pressed against the wall, my phone clutched so tightly that my fingers hurt. The bathroom had no windows. No vents big enough for a person. Just a small room with a toilet, a sink, and a shower curtain I had been meaning to replace. I sat on the edge of the bathtub and listened. The apartment was silent. I checked my phone. No new emails. No new messages. I watched the door of my bathroom for what felt like an hour. But the knock did not come again. Marcus stayed on the phone with me for 23 minutes while I sat on the edge of that bathtub. He did not say much. Neither did I. We just existed in that uncomfortable silence together, the way you do with someone you have known long enough to not need words. Occasionally he would say still there, and I would say still here, and that was enough. At 10:17 p.m., he said, try calling the front desk again. I dialed. Voicemail again. Same recording. Same board automated voice. No answer, I told him. Try 911. I hesitated. And say what? A man knocked on my door and knew my name? They will think I am insane. Better insane than whatever the alternative is. He had a point. I called 911. The dispatcher was calm and professional. She asked me to describe what happened. I told her. A man knocked after 9 p.m. He knew my name. He told me not to look through the peephole. She asked if he had threatened me directly. I said not exactly. She asked if he had attempted to enter. I said no. We will send a unit to do a wellness check, she said. Is your door locked? Deadbolt and chain. Stay inside. Do not open your door for anyone until the officer identifies themselves verbally and you can confirm through a call to dispatch. Okay. Do not use your peephole. I stopped. What? She repeated it. Calmly. Professionally. Like it was a standard instruction. Why? I asked. Why does everyone keep saying that? A pause. Then, it is standard safety advice in situations where an unknown individual may be monitoring your unit from the hallway. Visual confirmation through a peephole can signal your position. Please stay away from the door. She hung up before I could ask anything else. I told Marcus what she said. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, that is oddly specific safety advice for a 911 dispatcher to give. I had thought the same thing. At 10:34 p.m., someone knocked on the front door of my apartment again. Not 3 taps this time. 5. Even. Measured. Then a voice. Different from before. Female. Older. Leah, dear. It is Mrs. Costas from 7B. Are you all right in there? Mrs. Costas was my elderly neighbor. She had lived in the building for 11 years. She smelled like lavender and always had a small dog that she carried rather than walked. I had spoken to her maybe 8 times total, all brief conversations near the elevator. She was perfectly kind and perfectly forgettable. But it was past 10 at night. Mrs. Costas? I called from the bathroom. Yes, dear. I heard noises in the hallway. I wanted to make sure you were okay. Marcus whispered, do not open it. I know, I whispered back. Are you all right? She called again. Her voice sounded strange. Not frightened. Too calm. Like someone reading a script. I am fine, I said, loud enough for her to hear through the bathroom door and then through the front door. I already called the police. They are on their way. Silence. Then she said, oh good. That is very good, dear. Another pause. Have you looked through the peephole tonight? I said nothing. Leah? Marcus whispered, say no. No, I called out. I have not looked. A long pause. Are you sure? The way she said it made my skin crawl. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just deeply, quietly wrong. Like the question mattered more than any question should. Yes, I said. Another silence. Then, good night, dear. I heard footsteps. Slow and unhurried, moving away down the hall. I looked at Marcus on the phone. He was not saying anything, just breathing. Marcus, I said quietly. Yeah. Mrs. Costas has a dog. Okay. Her dog barks every single time she opens her door. Every time. I have never once heard her come or go without that dog making noise. Silence. The dog was quiet, I said. Marcus said, Leah, do not move from that bathroom. I was not planning to. At 10:51 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. No area code. No caller ID information at all. Just a string of digits that did not correspond to any real phone format I recognized. The message contained one image. I almost did not open it. But my hands moved before my brain could stop them. It was a photograph of my hallway. The one outside my apartment. Taken from somewhere low, maybe knee height, or from under a door. The image was slightly blurry but clear enough. The carpet. The baseboard. The bottom edge of my front door. And under the door, visible in the gap between the door and the floor, a thin line of light. My light. From inside my apartment. They could see my light. I turned off every light I could reach without leaving the bathroom. I sat in the dark with Marcus still on the phone and my back pressed hard against the wall beside the toilet. My phone screen was the only light source left, and I turned the brightness down as low as it would go. At 11:03 p.m., the power in my apartment went out. Not gradually. Not with a flicker. All at once. My phone screen was the only thing left in the world. Marcus said, Leah? The power went out. In the whole building? I looked under the bathroom door. Total darkness on the other side. I think so, I said. The police should be there any minute. Should be is doing a lot of work in that sentence. I know. I sat in the dark and tried to think. The man outside had known my name. The dispatcher had given oddly specific advice. Mrs. Costas had come to my door in the middle of the night without her dog making a sound. Someone had sent a photograph taken from the hallway floor. And now the power was out. None of these things were coincidences. But they did not fit together cleanly either, which was almost worse. A clean conspiracy you can trace. A fragmented one has too many edges. You cannot find where to push back against it. My phone buzzed again. Another image from the same number. This one was taken from above. A ceiling angle. Looking down at a bathroom. White tile. A bathtub. A woman sitting against the wall beside the toilet with a phone in her hand, the screen glowing against her face. I looked up at the vent above the bathroom door. Dark. A perfect square of black. Marcus heard me stop breathing. What, he said. I could not answer. Because from inside that vent, something moved. I want to be very precise about what I saw, because I have replayed it in my head so many times since then that the details have started to feel worn, like a photograph handled too many times. But in that moment, sitting in the dark with my phone screen dimmed to almost nothing, I saw movement inside the vent above the bathroom door. Not dramatic movement. Not a hand reaching through or a face pressing against the grate. Just the subtle, careful shift of something repositioning itself in a small space. The way a cat adjusts its weight when it has been still too long. The kind of movement that is almost nothing and somehow everything. I stood up slowly. My legs were not entirely cooperative. Marcus said my name twice before I responded. There is something in the vent, I whispered. What kind of something? I do not know. How big? I looked at the vent. Standard apartment size. 8 inches by 10 inches, maybe. The grate was plastic, the kind with horizontal slats you could push out from either side. Could fit a person, I said. If they were small enough. Marcus was quiet for 3 full seconds. Leah, can you get out of that bathroom? The hallway is out there. I know. But the vent is in there. He had a point. 2 bad options and no good ones. The hallway had the man. The vent had whatever was in the vent. My apartment had the power cut and the unknown and the photograph taken from my kitchen ceiling. I chose the hallway. Not because it was safer. But because whatever was in that vent knew I was in the bathroom, and staying felt like waiting for something I did not want to meet. I unlocked the bathroom door slowly. Pulled it open an inch. Listened. Nothing. I opened it the rest of the way and stepped into my apartment. The darkness was complete. No streetlight through the windows because the curtains were drawn. No glow from appliances because everything was dead. Just my phone screen making a small circle of pale blue light around me like a flashlight with no confidence. I moved toward the front door. The chain was still on. The deadbolt was still turned. Nothing had come through the door. I pressed my ear against it and listened. The hallway outside was silent. Then a voice. Not the man from before. A new one, or the same one pitched differently, I could not tell. It came from directly on the other side of my door, close enough that I could feel the faint warmth of breath through the gap. It said, Leah, the police are here. They are downstairs. They sent me up to get you. I said nothing. Ma'am, my name is Officer Danvers. I need you to confirm you are inside the unit. Marcus, still on the phone, whispered, ask for his badge number. What is your badge number? I asked through the door. A pause. 4471. I relayed it to Marcus. He said he would try to look it up. I knew that would take time we might not have. Can you slide your identification under the door? I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. I understand you are frightened, the voice said. But I need you to open the door or look through the peephole to confirm my identity. I felt the sentence land wrong before I understood why. Then it clicked. You want me to look through the peephole? I said slowly. It's the standard procedure for confirming dash. The dispatcher told me not to use the peephole. She was very specific. She said it signals my position to anyone monitoring the hallway. A real officer would know that instruction had been given. Silence. A very long silence. Then the voice said that instruction was updated. You can use it now. Updated by who? No answer. If you are a real officer, I said, call dispatch and have them patch a confirmation through to my phone. My number is in the call log. Nothing happened for 40 seconds. I counted. Then footsteps. Moving away down the hall. Marcus came back on. I found a badge number 4471 for the precinct covering your area. Officer T. Danvers. But Leah, the precinct website says Danvers is a woman. The voice you described sounds male. I leaned against the wall beside my door and slid down until I was sitting on the floor. How many of them are there? I said. Not really asking Marcus. Just saying it out loud because keeping it inside felt worse. I do not know, he said. What do they want? I do not know that either. Marcus, those photographs were taken from inside my apartment. The kitchen vent. The bathroom vent. Someone has been in here. Maybe recently. Maybe not so recently. I know. Which means they know the layout. They know where the vents are. They know my name. They sent the building a notice about the peephole ahead of time, which means they planned this. This is not opportunistic. This is organized. Marcus was quiet. Why me? I said. I do not think it matters right now, he said. Right now the only thing that matters is getting you out. He was right. But the question would not leave me alone. It sat in my chest like something swallowed wrong. Why me? Why this building? Why the peephole specifically? Why the elaborate warning sent ahead of time, almost guaranteeing that residents would think about the peephole, would be aware of it, would perhaps be more tempted to look. Unless that was the point. Unless the email was not a warning at all. Unless it was an invitation. My phone buzzed. The unknown number again. No image this time. Just text. You are doing well. I stared at it. Most of them look. Most of them cannot help themselves. Something knocks and the body just moves. You are different, Leah. You are careful. We noticed. I typed back, who is this? The reply came in 4 seconds. Friends. We have been watching you for a while. Not tonight. For a while. You are precise. You are controlled. You think before you act. These are not common qualities. I typed, what do you want? We want to see if you make it through tonight. The ones who look do not get this conversation. They get something else. You are getting the conversation. That is better. I typed, better for who? For you. Obviously. Marcus was reading over my shoulder through the phone camera. He said quietly, Leah, do not engage with them. But I typed anyway, what happens to the ones who look? The reply took longer this time. 30 seconds. Almost a minute. Then, they see something they cannot unsee. And then they open the door. And then the door stays open. I put the phone face down on my knee and breathed. Marcus said, this is some kind of test. I know. They are testing whether you look. I know. Leah, the real Officer Danvers just called me back. The actual one. She is on her way. 5 minutes. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. 5 minutes, I said. Do not move. Do not look. Do not open anything. I know. I sat with my back against the wall beside my front door, phone in my lap, and I waited. The apartment was dark and silent. The vent above the bathroom door was somewhere behind me in the dark, and I did not look at it. Something moved inside the walls at one point. A soft, pressured sound of weight shifting through the infrastructure of the building, like the whole place was breathing around me. At 11:21 p.m., someone knocked on my door. 3 taps. I closed my eyes. Then a woman's voice. Clear, clipped, and carrying the specific exhausted authority of someone who had worked a 14-hour shift and was not in the mood. This is Officer Danvers, badge 4471, 11th Precinct. I am going to slide my department ID under the door. Do not open anything until you have confirmed it. A laminated card appeared under the door. I picked it up. Turned my phone flashlight on. Read it twice. Then I opened the door. She was real. She was tired. She was exactly who she said she was. She stepped inside, looked around my dark apartment, and said, "You want to tell me what is going on?" I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, which is rarer than people think. When I finished, she looked at the kitchen vent, then the bathroom vent, then back at me. "Have you been in your bedroom since this started?" she asked. "No." She walked toward the bedroom door. Pushed it open. Reached in and hit the light switch out of habit, then remembered the power was out. She used her flashlight instead. She stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then she turned around and looked at me with an expression I could not entirely read. "You should call someone to stay with you tonight," she said. "Why? What did you see?" She stepped aside so I could look. The bedroom was empty. Undisturbed. Bed made. Curtains closed. But the vent above the closet door was open. Not broken. Not forced. Just open. Swung outward on its hinge. The screws on the grate had been removed cleanly, carefully, and set in a neat little row on the closet shelf below. Whoever had been inside that vent had left in a hurry. Or they had not left at all. Officer Danvers called for backup. She used her radio rather than her phone, stepping into the hallway and speaking in that clipped, efficient shorthand that police use when they want to communicate urgency without triggering panic in whoever is standing nearby. I heard fragments. Possible unauthorized access. Residential unit. Vent system. Request secondary unit and building super. I stood in my living room and waited. She came back inside and told me to stay away from the bedroom. I was not going to argue. The open vent sat in my mind like an unfinished sentence. Those screws lined up neatly on the closet shelf were somehow the worst detail. Not violence. Not damage. Just patience. Whoever had been up there had taken their time. Had been methodical. Had unscrewed 4 small screws and set them down in a row like they were completing a routine task. That kind of calm is more frightening than rage. Rage burns out. Calm does not. Danvers sat across from me at my small kitchen table. She had a notepad out, the old-fashioned kind with a spiral at the top, and she wrote with a pen that clicked every time she retracted it. Click. Note. Click. Note. It was almost soothing. "How long have you lived here?" she asked. 7 months. "Any prior incidents? Anything that felt off before tonight?" I thought about it. Really thought. Not the surface answer, which was no, nothing, everything was fine. But the honest answer, which required me to dig through 7 months of small moments I had filed away as nothing. The time I came home and my bathroom cabinet was slightly open. I was almost certain I had closed it. But almost certain is not certain, and I had a busy week, so I let it go. The time I found a partial footprint on the edge of my bathtub. I had told myself I must have stepped there half asleep. I wore socks indoors. The print was from a bare foot. The time my window in the bedroom was unlatched. I lived on the 7th floor. I had not opened that window since moving in. I told Danvers all of this. She wrote it down without reacting, which was either professionalism or something had already prepared her for exactly this kind of answer. The email from building management, I said. The one about the peephole. Have other residents reported anything? She looked at me steadily. What makes you ask? Because the email was sent to the whole building. Which means either management knew something was happening across multiple units, or whoever sent that email wanted the whole building thinking about the peephole tonight. She clicked her pen. We have had 2 other calls from this building tonight, she said carefully. Both from residents who reported someone knocking after 9 p.m. One of them looked through the peephole. What did they see? She paused. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Then why are you saying it like that? She looked at her notepad. Because 30 minutes after looking, that resident opened their door. Of their own volition. We found them standing in the hallway in their pajamas with no memory of deciding to get up. Their door was standing wide open behind them. The room felt colder than it had a moment ago. They do not remember opening it? I said. No. And the other resident? Did not look. Stayed inside. Currently fine. I let that sit. So looking through the peephole did something to them, I said. I am not drawing conclusions, Danvers said. I am telling you what we observed. That is a conclusion you are refusing to say out loud. She clicked her pen again. Did not deny it. Marcus arrived at 11:48 p.m. He had driven 40 minutes in under 30 because I knew him well enough to know he had driven the kind of fast that you do when someone you love is scared and there is nothing else you can do with the adrenaline. He knocked 4 times, gave his name, gave my name, gave the color of his jacket, because I had texted him to do all of that before I would open the door. He came inside and hugged me for a long time without saying anything. Danvers gave us a moment, then redirected. The building superintendent is on his way, she said. We need access to the maintenance corridors and the vent infrastructure. In older buildings like this one, the HVAC system can run continuously through multiple units without significant barriers between them. You mean someone could move through the vents from apartment to apartment, Marcus said. I mean it is structurally possible in some configurations, Danvers said. We need to confirm the layout before I say anything more definitive. How many apartments are connected? I asked. We do not know yet. How long could someone have been using them? She did not answer that one. The superintendent arrived at 12:06 a.m. His name was Gregor and he looked like a man who had been woken from a deep sleep and had not yet forgiven the universe for it. He was heavy-set, somewhere in his 60s, wearing a coat pulled over what were clearly pajama pants. He carried a large keyring and a flashlight the size of a small bat. Danvers showed him the open vent in my bedroom. He looked at it for a long time. His expression shifted in a way that was hard to read. Not shock. Something closer to recognition mixed with a deep, exhausted dread. When did you last inspect the vent system? Danvers asked him. We do a scheduled check every 6 months, he said. Last one was in April. It is November, she said. He said nothing. Has anyone reported unusual sounds from the vents? Neighbors complaining about noise in the walls? Gregor rubbed the back of his neck. 7A complained about scratching sounds in September. I sent someone to check. They did not find anything. Did you check personally? I sent someone. Who? He looked at the key ring in his hand. Maintenance contractor. We use an outside company for vent work. I am going to need the name of that company, Danvers said. He nodded slowly. She led him toward the bedroom. I stayed in the living room with Marcus. He sat beside me on the couch and we both looked at the front door, which was closed and locked and chained. How are you doing? He said quietly. I keep thinking about the screws, I said. The ones by the closet? They were in a straight line. 4 of them. Perfectly spaced. Marcus looked at his hands. Someone who does something that carefully in the dark has done it before. I know. Which means they had a routine. I know. Which means tonight might not have been the first time. Marcus, I said. I know. We sat with that for a while. At 12:31 a.m., Danvers came back from the bedroom. She had a different look on her face now. Still controlled, still professional, but with something underneath it that had not been there before. A tightness around the eyes. We found something in the vent corridor, she said. What kind of something? Marcus asked. Between your unit and 7A, there is a wider junction point. Old buildings sometimes have them. A structural space where multiple duct lines converge. Okay, I said. It had been modified, she said. Insulated. A section of the duct wall had been removed and replaced with a wood panel. Fitted. Not rough. Someone had built a space inside the infrastructure of the building. I felt Marcus go still beside me. How big? I asked. Large enough for a person to sit comfortably, she said. There was a folded blanket. A water bottle. A small battery-powered light. And a series of photographs attached to the interior wall. I already knew what photographs they were before she said it. Of me, I said. She nodded. Some of them going back several months, based on the seasonal clothing visible in the images. Whoever was using that space had been observing your unit for a significant period of time. The room tilted slightly. Marcus put his hand on my arm. I thought about every ordinary moment. Every unremarkable evening. Eating cereal on the couch. Folding laundry with the radio on. Falling asleep with a book on my chest. Every small and private and completely unguarded moment of the last 7 months. All of it watched. All of it catalogued. All of it pinned to the interior wall of a hidden space built inside my building's bones. The photographs from the text message, I said. Someone sent them to me tonight. From inside the vents. We believe so, Danvers said. They sent them in real time. They were watching me sit in the bathroom and they sent the picture immediately. Yes. Which means they were still in there when you arrived. Danvers held my gaze. We are searching the full vent corridor now. Secondary units are sweeping the building. But you have not found them yet. No, she said. Not yet. I looked at Marcus. He looked at me. And from somewhere deep inside the walls of my apartment, something moved. Officer Danvers drew her weapon. The sound of it was so unexpected, so sharp and mechanical against the quiet of my apartment, that I flinched backward into Marcus. She moved toward the wall separating my living room from the kitchen, her flashlight cutting a bright line through the darkness. Stay behind me, she said without turning around. I pulled Marcus with me toward the front door. My hand found the deadbolt. Did not turn it. Just rested there, feeling the metal cold and solid under my fingers. The sound came again. Not from the wall this time. From the ceiling. A soft sliding noise, like something heavy being shifted through a tight space. Moving from the kitchen area toward the hallway. Then silence. Danvers stood perfectly still beneath the ceiling vent in my living room. It was small. Barely 6 inches wide. Nothing could fit through it. I had looked at that vent 1,000 times and never once thought of it as a threat. Mr. Gregor, Danvers said without raising her voice. What runs through that section of ductwork? The superintendent was standing in the bedroom doorway. His face had gone pale in the flashlight's glow. That branch runs from the main corridor junction toward the elevator shaft, he said. There is a secondary access panel near the 4th floor landing. Someone could use it to move between floors? In theory. Yes. Danvers did not move. Did not lower her weapon. Someone is in the building, she said. Someone who has been here for some time. They have modified infrastructure, installed equipment, established a base of operations inside the walls. This is not a prank and it is not a random encounter. This is organized surveillance. She was right. But hearing it said out loud, in my living room, by a police officer with her gun drawn, made it feel different. Made it feel real in a way that all the photographs and text messages had not quite managed. The sliding sound came again. Closer to the hallway. Moving away from us. Danvers moved with it. Fast and quiet, crossing my living room in 3 steps and positioning herself beneath the hallway ceiling vent. Leah, she said without looking at me. Is there a fire escape outside your bedroom window? Yes. Can you reach it from inside your unit? The bedroom window opens onto it. But I told you, I am on the 7th floor. That escape goes down to the 6th floor landing, then you have to come back inside. What is on the 6th floor? Another hallway. More apartments. Does it connect back to the main stairwell? Marcus answered. Yes. The elevator lobby on 6 has the only interior stairwell access. Danvers nodded once. I want you both to use the fire escape. Go to the 6th floor. Find the stairwell. Get out of the building. Do not stop for anything. What about you? I said. I am going to follow the sound. Leaving us alone in the hallway is worse than staying, Marcus said. If there is someone moving through the vents dash. I am not leaving you in the hallway. I am clearing you a path to the stairwell. The backup unit should be here within minutes. Get to them. She moved. Swift and professional, unlocking my front door and stepping into the hallway with her weapon raised. The corridor was dark. Emergency lighting had kicked in at some point, casting everything in a dim red haze that made the hallway look like something out of a fever dream. Marcus grabbed my hand. We moved toward the bedroom. The bedroom window was cold when I touched it. I pushed it open and the night air hit my face like a slap. The fire escape was right there, exactly where it had always been, the same rusted metal platform I had looked at 100 times without ever using. I stepped through first. Marcus followed and pulled the window shut behind us. The city spread out below us. Streetlights and lit windows and the distant hum of traffic that never really stopped. It looked ordinary. It looked safe. It looked like the rest of the world had no idea what was happening 4 stories above the sidewalk. I heard Danvers's voice in the apartment behind us. Clear and commanding. She was saying something about the vents. Then footsteps. Then nothing. Marcus put his hand on my shoulder. Come on. We go down, we find the stairwell, we get out. I nodded. But I did not move immediately. Because standing on the fire escape 1 floor below us, perfectly still and looking directly up at where we were standing, was a man. He was not trying to hide. He was not crouching or ducking away. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, face tilted slightly upward, watching us with the calm, patient expression of someone who had been waiting a very long time for this exact moment. I opened my mouth to say something. He smiled. It was not a threatening smile. That was the worst part. It was warm. Almost gentle. The kind of smile you'd give to someone you know well. You made it to the fire escape, he said. His voice was quiet but it carried easily through the night air. That is further than most of them get. Marcus stepped in front of me. Who are you? Marcus said. The man looked at him. His expression did not change. I am the one who has been watching, he said. Not to hurt her. Never to hurt her. Just to know her. To understand her. She is very careful, your friend. She thinks before she acts. She does not look. She does not open. She follows instructions even when they make no sense. That is rare. What do you want with her? The man tilted his head slightly. Want? Nothing. I already have what I wanted. I know her. I have seen her in every unguarded moment for 7 months. I know how she takes her coffee. I know which side of the bed she sleeps on. I know the sound she makes when she dreams. I felt something cold move through me. The email, I said. You sent it. I sent it. The peephole warning. Instructions, he corrected gently. I gave you instructions. And you followed them. That is why you are still standing here. Then why are you here now? He smiled again. That same warm, terrible smile. Because I wanted to see your face when I told you something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Not a photograph. Something else. He unfolded it slowly. Held it up so we could see. It was a lease agreement. My lease agreement. The Marwick Residences, he read aloud. Unit 7D. Occupant, Leah Brennan. My heart stopped. I am not your neighbor, he said. I am your landlord. He let the paper float down between us. It caught the wind and tumbled lazily toward the street below. The building is mine, he said. All of it. Every wall. Every vent. Every floor. I own it. I have always owned it. And you, Leah, signed a lease to live inside my property 6 months ago. He stepped back from the railing. Now you know me. He turned and walked back into the shadows of the fire escape, toward the rusted ladder that led down to the alley. Danvers burst through my bedroom window 30 seconds later. She looked down at the fire escape below. Then at me. Then at Marcus. Who was that, she said. I could not speak. Marcus answered for me. Someone who just told us he owns the building. Danvers looked at us both. He is not on any ownership record we can find, she said. I thought about the lease in my apartment. The signature at the bottom that I had never looked at twice because I was 23 and desperate for a place to live and the rent was cheap and the location was convenient. I thought about the email warning me not to look. I thought about the man standing in the dark, smiling. He had written the rules. He had told us what to do. And we had followed them because we did not know any better. That was the worst part. He had not needed to hide in the vents at all. He had been right in front of us the whole time. In the fine print.